In the late 1980s, Marvel Comics was getting ready to dive into the world of animated television. The X-Men were gaining massive popularity in the comic book realm, and it was time to bring these beloved characters to life on TV. However, before the iconic 1992 series we know today, there was an earlier attempt called Pryde of the X-Men. Pryde of the X-Men was a pilot episode that introduced viewers to the mutant world through the eyes of a teenage girl named Kitty Pryde, who had the power to phase through solid objects. This pilot, animated by the well-known Japanese studio Toei, had a visual style that was noticeably more detailed and dynamic compared to previous Marvel cartoons from that era, such as Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. The voice cast of Pryde featured some familiar names from earlier Marvel animations, like John Stevenson as Professor X and Michael Bell as Cyclops. However, there were also some unique choices, such as Patrick Pinney giving Wolverine an Australian accent, which surprised fans. The plot of Pryde was pretty straightforward, typical of 80s action cartoons. Kitty Pryde joins the X-Men to face off against their formidable foe, Magneto, and his Brotherhood of Mutant Terrorists. This episode served as an introduction to the world of superpowers for the audience, setting the stage for potential future adventures. One of the main challenges Pryde of the X-Men faced was introducing many characters in a short amount of time. Initially, the creative team wanted to focus on the X-Men battling Sentinels, giant mutant hunting robots, to keep the spotlight on our mutant heroes. However, they decided to showcase the Brotherhood of Mutants first, likely to promote the accompanying toy line. Comparing Pryde of the X-Men to the 1992 X-Men series, there were significant differences. Pryde drew inspiration from the late 70s and 80s X-Men comics, featuring characters like Storm, Colossus, Dazzler, and Kitty Pryde herself. Their costumes and character designs reflected this earlier period in X-Men comics. In contrast, the 1992 X-Men series took cues from the 1991 relaunch of the X-Men comics by Jim Lee. The character designs closely resembled Lee's artwork, with characters like Gambit, Rogue, and Wolverine adopting their iconic 90s appearances. Kitty Pryde was notably absent from this series, replaced by Jubilee as the rookie X-Girl. One significant difference between the two shows was the character development and dialogue. The 1992 series delved deeper into the inner lives of the X-Men, portraying them as more relatable human beings with complex emotions and personalities. For instance, we saw Jubilee meeting Storm and Rogue at the mall, or Wolverine blowing off steam at a bar. In contrast, Pryde offered limited characterization, with only a few instances of character growth. In summary, Pryde of the X-Men may not have achieved the same iconic status as the 1992 series, but it remains an intriguing historical footnote in the X-Men's animated journey. It showcased the evolution of the X-Men on screen and highlighted the transition from the 80s to the 90s in both style and storytelling. While it may not have had the lasting impact of its successor, Pryde still holds a special place in the hearts of fans who remember it as a unique chapter in X-Men history. X-Men, the animated series, had its share of behind-the-scenes drama to secure approval, including a fascinating tale involving a clever ploy to incorporate Jim Lee's iconic 1992 costume designs for the X-Men. When the X-Men first appeared in comics in 1963, their superhero outfits looked like school uniforms. The original team, including Cyclops, Iceman, Beast, Marvel Girl, and Angel, wore distinctive yellow and blue ensembles with hoods that partly concealed their identities. What made the X-Men unique was their origin story. They were mutants born with their extraordinary abilities, unlike other superheroes who gained powers through cosmic accidents, radiation, or spider bites. Over the years, as more characters joined the X-Men comics, their costumes evolved into various designs, reflecting the fashion trends of each era. Fans of X-Men comics in the 1990s fondly remember the characters wearing leather jackets over spandex suits, often adorned with many pouches. In 1992, Marvel made a significant change by relaunching the Uncanny X-Men comic with X-Men #1, featuring redesigned costumes by veteran artist Jim Lee. These costumes quickly became the standard appearance for the X-Men, defining the look for a new generation of fans. When it came time to adapt the X-Men for television with X-Men, the animated series, the creators faced a unique challenge. They wanted to use Jim Lee's 1992 designs for the characters, but there was a significant obstacle. At that time, Image Comics, a rival company founded by prominent Marvel artists, was making waves in the comic book industry. Image Comics allowed artists creative control over their characters, which was a departure from the traditional practices of Marvel and DC Comics. One such artist was Jim Lee, known for his work on Image Comics' Wildcats, a series with a complex mythology and lackluster characters that still managed to capture readers' imaginations. The dilemma for X-Men, the animated series, was that Jim Lee was a co-founder of Image Comics, creating a problem for Marvel. Marvel executives were cautious about using Lee's designs for the show, likely due to Lee and other major Marvel artists announcing their departure to establish Image Comics. They were reluctant to promote the work of a competitor. However, the creative team behind the animated series, led by writer Will Mugniet, was determined to use Jim Lee's designs. They believed these designs had become the new standard for the X-Men, and fans would expect to see them on screen. To achieve this, Mugniet came up with a clever strategy. He presented two sets of costume designs to Marvel's decision makers, the ones he intended to use in a deliberately absurd alternative set. Mugniet's strategy worked like a charm. Marvel executives were so shocked by the alternative costume designs that they swiftly reverted to Jim Lee's iconic 1992 looks. These designs became the official appearance for the animated series, allowing the show to proceed in a recognizable style. X-Men, the animated series, went on to have a successful 5-season run, leaving a lasting impact on fans. In 2024, the series is set to return on Disney Plus as X-Men '97, offering a nostalgic journey for both longtime fans and a new generation of viewers.